Thanks. First of all, it's an honor to be here, but I am a frickin' nervous wreck. I really am. I have some notes I may read from, but I want to thank Katie for being so kind and putting my prices on that I didn't even have and all the stuff you did for me. Ashley I came in to watch Ashley the other day, and she's just standing there like this, and she's trying to get space. Because space is important in art. I want to thank Mark Hawkinson again. Thanks, Mark, for sponsoring it. And there's a lot of other people I want to thank. I want to thank Krista Madison. She's taught me to be creative and take a chance and appreciate art, so I wanted to thank her. I wanted to thank Kevin and Jeff from Promax, the guy's dumpster that I go in that's full of steel. What the hell? Yeah. And Spencer Osborne from Chuck's Auto Salvage. I spent a lot of time in there, and they've been very kind to me. If people who know me, I'm not afraid to ask for help. And Rick McDonald, where's Rick McDonald? Is he still here? Yeah. He can attest to that. I call him every week with some sort of a question, but I'm getting better at it. Bob Carls. Most people know Bob Carls. Yep. I called him one time and I said, I would really like to get some wood for sculptures. He said, well, come on down. And when I got there, I didn't know he was dying. And we had the most wonderful conversation. He had the most wonderful attitude about dying I've ever seen in my life. It was quite inspirational. But he gave me a ton of wood. Took me out in the back. He could hardly walk. He's got his cane and he's just pulling stuff out. You like that? You like that? I bought a lot from him, but he gave me a ton. So when you see some of these real specialty woods, they're from Bob Carls. David Trombley, who is from Taconite, we know each other well. I go over to their graveyard and I pretty much know where everything is, but every time I go there, I find one thing I didn't. But he's put up with me. And Al Beliveau over here. Al, raise your hand. There it is. He's my man. He's inspired me to do stuff. He's got the most wonderful attitude. You know, when we all take classes or we want to do watercolor, it's like we're a failure immediately. He doesn't care. Just keep going. And one of the things I learned from him, he tried to teach me how to weld, so I had this mask on. You can't see out of the goddamn mask. He said, well, just you see this straight line, do it. And I consider myself pretty crafty, and I just couldn't hit it. And he said, you just have to see things differently. And he certainly does. So thanks, Al, for everything you've done for me, and thanks for coming over from Bemidji, for crying out loud. And one of my biggest supporters is Guido. Steve Downing right there, buddy. He has been so positive and supportive, because I don't know what this stuff is. I don't know what this stuff is. It's just something I created. And behind her is my personal stylist, Kathy Babbitt. And also I want to thank Sonia Merrill, my wife. She has put up with a million questions, and anybody else who is not afraid to ask, and what do you think of this? If she says it's very interesting, it's a done. So it's done, seriously. When I was young, I wanted to be an architect, but I just didn't feel like I was smart enough. So I went to school, criminal justice, and found out it wasn't the ticket. It didn't make it for me, but I've done some design work. I tell other people here that I think of myself as artistic, not an artist. Maybe I'm getting there, but I'm just trying to think. I have done some designing. I've designed tree houses. I helped design KXC. So I do have a little bit of architectural skills. Now I really do. This is my architecture, and it's wonderful. I'm 65, I come full circle, now I'm an architect. But when I was a kid, I used to just, love my mom's oil of Olay lotion jar. I know this sounds strange. And you maybe have read about it, but she had this oil of Olay, glass oil of Olay with pink, the pink oil of Olay, and I loved that jar. I just couldn't get over how beautiful it was and how beautiful the lotion was in it. So, and I used to, I'd lay on my back and they'd look at the sky like everybody does, but when I look at the sky, I'm trying to find 50 different things, like a fox and a whatever, telephone booth. I love to trace things. I loved to trace things when I was a kid. Who in this room likes to fill in their O's with a Sharpie? We got 2. Anyway, I like to do that. And I just, you know, I really, really, really liked, I love what I'm doing. And as an adult, I became, appreciated beauty more. I think sometimes when we're young, we don't appreciate beauty, we don't appreciate art. I think you have to grow into it and see it and understand how much time people have put into it. I still see those clouds, and I love when grass blows, just the little things that you see that maybe you don't take advantage of. I love spoons, especially that spoon. That spoon has got to be so old, and you wonder about what dinner table that was at and what was going on over maybe several generations. I see beauty in a vole's trail in the snow. You ever see that? That vole, he's just working his butt off to get across the lake. I see a beauty in a pile of tires. If you ever go out to the recycling place, there's like 6,000 tires there, and they are artistic in themselves. So when you go there, pay attention. Just like look at it and see what you think. I paint houses, and that's where my artistic ability was. But first of all, before we talk about sculptures, I want you to pass this around. And there are many artists in here, but these are things that in ordinary life you would drive by or walk by and never appreciate them. So I'm going to start. This is heavy, so if you don't mind, this is a lid from an old water truck. Mm-hmm. And you can't beat that stuff. Now this is just a ceramic bowl, but I want you to look inside and see if you just see something. Mm-hmm. And my mouth is drying like crazy. The green sculpture, right behind Holly. That is like the easiest thing in the world to make. I was at the scrapyard in Hibbing, and I just saw it protruding out of the ground. And it was just, you could hardly tell because it was full of iron ore and stuff. But all I did was clean it and use a wire brush and really clean it and then put some poly on it, throw it on an ashtray stand, and I think that's beautiful. I think it's just like incredible. I do. Anybody else think it's good? I think I have a good eye, and you know, I can use, this is a bicycle rack. Now, you might ask, well, when you got this is a very old bicycle rack that you put your sandwich on or your whatever. And I just saw it, and I knew that I had to have this sculpture. It just felt that way. I'm a little nervous about the breast situation here. There's some nudity here. And I really didn't know. I had to ask Katie to think it's all right. And one of the most difficult decisions I had to make was how to put that penis on this guy down here. I'm nervous. I'm a wreck. But think about it. Me alone in my garage with this little tiny little penis, trying to figure out, maybe this is what artists do. I don't know. Would down offend somebody? Would up offend somebody? So I went taint. You know what taint is? Taint hard to taint soft. Oh my God.
There go the children.
Oh, and I'll be done very quick because all I want is questions. But this by Al, this right here, does anybody know what these are? Those are 2 of them. Those are from the mines, and those were in cement trucks. And that's how they steered the chute. Oh. So when they wanted the chute to move for this concrete to come out, they would do that. So I just want to end in saying one thing is, if you look at every piece of art, there's the stamp 988 on it, and that's the suicide line, and you know, if you're in crisis. So I just made sure I put that. That's my signature is 988. So for those of you who don't know it, or you know somebody that's struggling, and we all know somebody that's struggling, make sure that they're aware of 988 so they can make that call, that very important call. And I had this thing came up in my mind. It says, I don't start out like with this art. I don't start out with an idea. I end with an idea.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's all I got to say. I've been on the radio for 27 years. I'm a wreck. See the water? Any questions?
Do you need any more junk?
Yes.
Okay, you got it? The question was, do I need more junk? Ask Sonia. No, that's a tricky thing because maybe I get several dump truck loads full in my house and I would use 1/10 of it. But if you see stuff that I'm using today that you have, yeah, I'd love to have stuff or buy it from. Anybody else? Yes, Mr. Squadroni?
Yeah, do you mostly clean stuff up when you find it, like, or do you degrade some things or like rust things or anything?
No, I don't degrade anything, and sometimes I have a very hard time of cleaning it up because I know if you have a Rembrandt, you don't want to, you don't want to dust it or make it clean. But none of this stuff is like that. So, and I am not a glossy person. I like flat, but for some reason I think these things needed to pop, and I think if they were dull, they wouldn't be as good.
Will you tell us about this one next to you?
This one?
Yeah.
This is just a mantle that I found at Bauer Brothers Salvage in Minneapolis. If you haven't been there, go there, Lori. I know you've been there. And I just fell in love with it. It's an Al Van. Somebody can explain to me, Al. Would you please come up here and tell me how does this happen? Does anybody know how you can have
saw marks?
I know, but so is the saw going this way and then coming back this way and making an intersection?
See, go with the teeth cutting in and it's just coming back out. Because the swedge on the teeth is so deep.
Okay. So, oh, thanks, Al. Sorry to put you on the spot. This is just an old mantle, and I don't even know what that is. It might be a float. It could be a float. And then that's just some old a stand I had. I think it's great. Could be in anybody's office or.
There you go.
The marketing.
Yes.
So this red piece with the yellow balls,
Red.
this, right here, you're right. Oh, look
Oh, right here.
Yeah, but you put a finish on that, or
Yes.
is that how it came?
No, I took the dirt off, and then I used a drill with a brush on, wire brush, and just go to town, and it just. It's
Did you coat
fantastic.
it then?
What's that?
Did you coat it?
Yeah, poly. I put glossy poly on it. Any more questions? Yeah.
What are the yellow balls?
Those are croquet balls. And those, to me, that piece wouldn't be any good if they were brand new croquet balls because they're tarnished and pretty much everything here is tarnished.
Yes.
Anybody else?
And still very valuable.
Yes.
How'd you come up with all those names?
Oh, that's easy. That's how I work. I don't have to do anything but just think for a second. Yes, that's kind of fun naming them, interesting. Jim Columbus, do you have a question back there?
Pretty impressive.
Well, I know that was too long, I'm sorry. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming out. Appreciate it.
Thanks, John.